And let's start talking. So you've been, Joe, you've been a Davis Finney Foundation ambassador for quite a while. That's how we met. You've been around since I've been around. When did
18.
you become an ambassador in 18?
18.
Okay. Yeah.
18.
So we're on the same path. And we originally met in person. You just reminded me at the leadership conference in Westminster in 2019 and February of 2019, and haven't seen you in real life since then, but having some fun over Zoom. So happy to be with you guys today. I'd love to get started, Joe, for the people who don't, in our community who don't know who you are. Can you talk a little bit about your life, who you were pre-Parkinson's, what happened when you were diagnosed, and how you got involved with the Davis Finney Foundation?
Sure. Be glad to. Let's see. I was very much a left brain person. That's important for me to put in here. Very much an analytical person. I was a software quality assurance engineer. I was also a marathon runner and a bike racer. And as we all know, the person whose name is on the foundation was a bike racer too. Now, Davis was a really good bike racer. I was not. But I was a very persistent marathoner. And that's part of what led up to my diagnosis was I had problems with my running where I would have to stop and I would stretch my leg or something like that. And I would be able to go a little bit more distance and I would stop and I would stretch my leg. And I went to see my primary care physician, and Barbara had made a tape of me running around the thing. And my primary care physician looked at me and he said, "Your right arm's not moving at all." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, go see this neurologist person." So I got an appointment with the neurologist person. I always remember the date because it was the 23rd of December. And I go through the usual procedure that everybody who has Parkinson's does. Touch your nose, I'll walk back and forth, all that kind of good stuff. And she says, "Sit down." I go, "This is not good." When the doctor tells you to sit down after a diagnosis, when they're going to give you a diagnosis, it's not a good thing. And she said, "Well, the good news is you don't have ALS. You don't have a brain tumor. We're going to do an MRI to be absolutely sure of that. But the bad news is I'm pretty sure you have Parkinson's." So that was an interesting Christmas for sure for both of us. And
Barbara, were you with him at the diagnosis?
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
That's the only time actually that she hasn't been right at my side supporting me during this.
Yeah. I would go with him to his marathons. He's done 26 marathons, and I would go to all of them.
You have to do 0.2 marathons. Can you get a 0.2 marathon in there?
That counts.
Yes, I've gotten 0.2 marathons.
Yeah. Okay, good.
His marathons were getting longer and longer and longer. We knew something was going on. And we went to foot people. We went to leg people. We went to shoe people, sneaker people. We had him do a video with the sneaker people to see, what kind of sneakers he needed. And nothing helped. Nothing.
Was it a drag or just pain or?
It was abrupt stopping.
Yeah, and then he would drag his leg to finish up, and he insisted on finishing them all, which is very commendable. But it was long, it was hard, and sometimes, in all honesty, if you don't mind my saying so, by the time he got in, everything had been torn down. He was so late in getting in. He still got his medal, but
thanks to her, she was very, very forceful with a few race directors.
I want to see that medal for what he's done.
I didn't sit out here for 4 or 5 hours. Nothing.
Yeah, and he didn't do all this effort not to get his medal. But there was no falling or anything like that. But he was struggling. And then when he got the diagnosis, we went with that.
Yeah, I mean, so we went.
Sense.
We went from the diagnosis. Kind of sort of got very lucky break when I was applying for my disability. The man who did the investigating for my disability, his dad had Parkinson's, and he told me, he says, "I can't guarantee you because you may not be eligible, but he said, I will guarantee you this, because my dad had Parkinson's, I will do the best I can, for you, not hiding anything, but make sure that I've done a thorough job."
Oh, wow.
And we went through a number of phone calls.
I'm sorry. I don't want to get too nitpicky, but I do think our community wants to know sort of the details if they have that issue. So did you go, hey, I'm going to try disability right away? Or did you
Yes.
work for a while? You did. Okay.
Yes.
And
What it
so
was
what was it
my
about your job that you didn't feel like you could keep going?
it wasn't so much that.
I just took on a new
My
job.
I had just taken on a new job.
Mm.
My doctor looked at me and she said, my motion specialist, who's terrific, she looked at me and she said, if you can stop working, you should.
Mm.
And
Start
I got
enjoying life.
I got in the car, left that. I'd gotten a job with this company and had been working for them for exactly 2 weeks.
They loved him. They thought he was great.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and
And
I
you
was
went in and
enjoying the
said,
work, and I
"You-
told them, I said,
You got to stop. You know,
I got to stop, and they fell all over themselves trying
what
to
can
say,
we do? What can we do to keep you?
exactly.
They thought it was them. You know, it
Mm.
wasn't that at all as a doctor.
Yeah, I mean, so then I, like I said, I went for my disability, and I was very, very fortunate. And then I said, I've got to find something to do with my life that's meaningful.
Mm.
So the first thing I did was, the same doctor said to me, she said, there's a need for a support group that covers the north part of the county you live in. And I went back and forth trying to figure out what sort of special qualifications you need. And by the way, you need none.
None, right? And you live in Sterling, Massachusetts?
Yeah,
Is that right? Okay.
northern part of Worcester County.
Middle of the
Okay.
state.
And so, I mean, I just went and I said, this is something I need to do. So
I went down to the first two. I said, "Do you want to go to a support group?" And he goes, "I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so."
this was another support group.
Yeah, another one. So I said, well, I'll go down and see what they got, see what they're up to. So I go down. It's down Westminster, Westboro over here, which is half hour. And I sat there and I said, these people have something in common with Joe, and they're very upbeat, very talkative, they insist, and Joe does too on his meetings, that everything's positive. You don't get into this rabbit hole of poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me, because that could go on forever. And every one of them has got, and I'm trying to adjust to this chair. Every one of them has got issues and problems and stuff with their Parkinson's. But at these meetings, it's upbeat. It's just up. It has to be. And so I said, Joe, you'd really get a lot out of this. And I went down for a second time. He still wouldn't go. And I got some more of these people. And I said, this was great. So Joe goes down. And he talks to the lady who's there, Wendy, who's a sweetheart of a lady. And she's had Parkinson's for a long, long time. And he started asking questions. What does it take to establish a support group? What does it take where do I go to get training? Where do I learn all this? And she told him
nothing. She told me you don't need any special qualifications. You just need to be willing to do it. So I looked at it and I said, this was the first thing I could do to help out my fellow Parkinson's people. Yeah. And the second thing I thought about was, I said, we have an awful lot of clinical trials in our neck of the woods. I mean, if you want to have Parkinson's, probably the best place to live is Massachusetts, because we have all of these motion specialists, neurologists, and everything. So I started, going to clinical trials and participating in them. About
so can
about
you talk a little bit about, so people are like, hey, what are clinical trials? And just share a little bit about sort of the range of the ones that you've been involved with. I know you had a big milestone, but what were the initial types that you were a part of?
The very first one I was part of was a non-intrusive way to do, Parkinson moment here, DBS. There was like a diver's cap that was put on me, and electrical stimulation was given to the brain via the diver's cap. And that was supposed to help me with my problems. Unfortunately, and for the case of that particular trial, I was the person who caused the trial, one of the persons probably who caused the trial, to show that it was not effective with people who have dystonia as their main feature of Parkinson's. I am mostly a stiffness dystonia person. I do have a little bit of tremor. I don't have much.
No,
now,
much tremor at all.
But if you have tremor, it is somewhat effective. I don't know what's become of it since then, because after the trial, they took it back.
And they don't tell you any results. None of the trials tell you anything. You're very often double down. What are they called?
Double blind.
Double blind, double dummy.
And they are too. They have no idea which one you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep asking them, so what does this tell us? Well, we don't know. We'll find out. And we'll put the information together, and we'll learn about Parkinson's and gather information and learn what benefits a person with Parkinson's. And that's the objective of the whole thing. And so he went through 50 of them.
Well, I mean, I've like my wife just said, I've done 50 different clinical trials.
Yeah. What was the second one? What was the one you stayed over in the hospital?
Oh, that was the light therapy clinical trial. There was a doctor who specializes in, he's a motion specialist doctor for Parkinson's, but he's also a sleep specialist. And he had come up with a very unique way of treating how to help people who are having trouble sleeping who had Parkinson's. And in a nutshell, what it was the he had tried using long wavelengths such as red light, and he had found that to be ineffective. So what his suggestion was to use intense white light, but no ultraviolet, and it worked for me at least.
Well, what was the doctor's name?
Incredibly.
What?
I'm sorry.
What was that doctor's name?
Dr. Alex, and I don't remember his
Alexander.
Last name. Is he out of MGH?
The Vidinovic.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about then. Yeah, he's a great
Yeah, well,
dude.
he just we talked to him about his sleep and Parkinson's probably late last year.
Okay, yeah.
Joe got so much out of it that we decided one time we were going to go, but just before the convention in Colorado.
That's right.
We decided to go to Florida and then over to the convention. They gave him a light that was huge, a light. It was great because he would sit in front of it for about an hour, and he would sit there in the morning and again at night. And before that, he not sleeping well at all, not at all. And from then on, he was just sleeping very nicely. So what we did was we said, can we bring it to, we'll bring it to Florida with us.
We did.
They wouldn't take it on the plane. That's something for people to understand. It was made of glass. And it was medical. They didn't have the insurance for that kind of thing. They didn't want to take it on the plane. So we UPS'd it to Florida. And the people at the resort said, you got a package coming? And we said, oh, yeah, it's a very important package, a big one. And so they held it for us. And we did it the whole week, morning and night. Every night we go to Disney and we go to someplace else, Daytona Beach, and we come back in and we do the trial because it was working so well. It was helping him so much. And then we put it on another UPS truck and sent it to Colorado. And then when we were at the conference, there he is in the morning, every night, he's still doing the trial. And then we flew it back.
Right.
They gave us $1,000 or something for the trial.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But it cost us $275 to get it to Florida, $275 to get it to Colorado, and another $275 to get it home. So,
right.
This was close.
But it was
even Steven, but you got some good night's sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
So have you kept up with light therapy?
I'm sorry?
Have you kept up with light therapy?
Yes, I have. He
has someone in his Parkinson's group who doesn't sleep well at all. And, the support groups are so good because if it works for one person and that person's sitting in the audience, he's got someone in his audience going, God, I don't sleep well. I just don't. He's got an idea for them.
Yeah.
You might want to talk to this doctor and find out a little more about it. And that's the thing about support groups. They're fantastic for that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Because you find out more about you find out more about each other, and you help each other out. It's really good. So
in the fall of 2018, I saw this thing where the Davis Finney Foundation was recruiting. The first thing I said, I know of a Davis Finney. And I said, I wonder if it's the same guy. And of course it was.
From racing.
From bike racing days. Again, like I said, Davis was front of the pack, win Tour de France stage wins. I was the guy who basically was back of the pack and just having fun. Anyway,
he was cash.
That was his nickname. But anyway,
he'd go for the cash. He was smart biker.
But anyway, so I mean, I applied to the foundation. At the same time, I had also joined Patients Like Me, which is a patient advocacy organization, and that was a great experience as well.
You had different people, though. You had someone with ALS. You had someone who was lupus.
Yeah.
They came from all over the place, but they all had individual illnesses.
Right.
And that was another sheer thing. So one guy was terrific. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He has since passed away. He had ALS, but he was great. And he was fun to talk to and everything else. And
So, I mean, I think
that's important to note, because I think, if you're somewhere that they don't have a specific Parkinson's support group, but they have something else like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth it to check it out at least.
Oh, yeah. No question about it.
And ever since COVID hit, the world changed drastically. So everybody used to come to Joe's group, and I was there all the time. And they'd come to the group, and COVID hit, and so we went on Zoom, and they can still come to the meetings, which is good. You at one time you had 30 people.
We had 40
a bunch of people. And the senior center is the one that allows him to have his meetings there. And after a while, a lot of people, COVID, and then a lot of people didn't want to be out after 3:30, which is when it comes. So they do Zoom, and it was still working for them.
And actually, I have to say, a big kudos and thank you to the foundation, because the Davis Finney Foundation has been nice enough to set up a Zoom account that we ambassadors can use for this purpose. So I not only support my group, but I support a few other groups in the area by scheduling their meetings for them and setting things up, which is really, helpful to them, because everybody's sort of finding that it's sort of like the genie in the bottle. Once you've let it out, you can't put it back in, because people will occasionally want to come. We have some people that are very much what I call a hardcore group members that keep coming and coming and coming. And God knows I love them, because it's kind of funny sitting in a large room with a TV set with a whole bunch of people on it.
Yeah. So can you share some of the strategies or tips that you discovered from creating your own support group? Like, what did you do?
Well, one of the big things I did was I went to houses of worship in the area, and I got permission to put up, leaflets explaining what the group was, how to reach me, how to get involved with the group. The big thing I always stress with the group is, if you show up once, that's fine. If you show up 1,000 times, that's fine. I don't take attendance. Thanks to the foundation and the senior center, I don't have any bills to pay, so I don't charge anything. So, I mean, the other things I think about is you go to the local senior centers, and you get permission to put things up at those locations. You also go to local libraries. These are all places where people will go and look for the information. And then if that is not working for you, then what I would suggest the next step is to go to the local businesses. I have a place in my town with a bunch of women that cut men's hair, and they only cut men's hair. But she's got my sign up right in front of her workstation. Mm-hmm. And a couple of people have said to me, "I didn't know you went to Chris's barbershop." So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about it, is that it's there. And I also think that if you're starting a support group in this time frame, you have to realize that a lot of people are going to come virtually as opposed to physically. And that can be a bit of a challenge for you, because, like I say, I've actually sat in the room with like maybe 2 other people, and we have actually a great interaction usually, but it's kind of strange having that interaction like we're having right now with you.
Yeah. So, with the hindsight and, maybe a year plus of being able to be back in person, what have you noticed about the people, pre-COVID to now, in terms of their well-being, quality of life?
One of the things that we did was, during the height of the pandemic, we kept the meetings going completely. I went to a weekly meeting schedule, and it was all done on Zoom. And I think that helped tremendously with the people in the group, because social isolation is Parkinson's. Social isolation is a really big problem for people with Parkinson's. So I think that that's one of the things that we provide. I've also gone to forums held by the Finney organization, the PMD Alliance for group leaders. And one of the best experiences I had was when one of the meetings, this gentleman from Florida, he suggested to me, he said, why don't you just bring not to me particularly, but to everyone, why don't you bring a game? So ever since then, I've always brought a deck of Trivial Pursuit or some other game like that, because that, of course, is very good for cognitive behavior, but it also is a great icebreaker. People, will go, I didn't know that. Oh, you didn't know that The Godfather was famous for this, that, or the other. Just, and I think that's one of the big advices that I always say to people when you start in a support group is just bring a game like that. Now, I got so much into that one of the support group members had been given a copy of Trivial Pursuit and had never opened it. And she gave it to me saying, look, you'll get more use out of it with me in the group than I'll get it at home. So we still have it.
That's funny. I have a recommendation for a game, especially on the days when it's just you and one other person. Clask. Have you ever heard of Clask?
I have never heard of that, but I'm going to write it down.
It's Klask. It's there's a 4-person game, I believe, but the 2-person game is more fun.
Okay.
And it's basically like coordination, and it's really fun. But it's a great mobility, fine motor skills type of game, and it goes pretty quickly. But anyway, I can see you playing it. It was a Swedish guy who developed it, or Denmark maybe, I don't know. Super interesting story, super interesting guy. You should check it out.
Cool, I will for sure. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay,
the senior centers are awfully good places to set up like this, because it's the right age group.
Right.
It's the right age group, and they love us. She keeps saying, one time she calls me up and she goes, "Where's Joe? Where's Joe?" I said, "He's on his way down." People are coming, people are coming.
Yeah.
Down there. He said, "I'm there."
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, support groups are it's a lifeline for so many people. So to be able to have that is great. And to, have the people being able to be flexible with people that don't want to come in or have scheduling issues and that kind of thing. So
we went to Hawaii and we went to one. Remember?
Yeah.
We went to a support group there, and the guys, they thought it was great. Come on in, introduce yourselves, and we'll get to know you.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
They had the best backdrop for their support group. It was a beach.
Oh my God. Was it Jerry's by any chance?
Was it
Jerry's?
Jeff's.
No. Okay.
No, it wasn't Jerry's. No, it was on the Big Island.
Okay.
I'm hoping to see Jerry when we go out next week.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay. So in terms of the trials, you've done 50 over the last, 5 years?
Yeah,
6 years. What have you gained from doing it? Aside from, obviously, you're learning, you're learning the different things, but what are some of the benefits from doing trials?
Well, another benefit about that is that I know exactly where my Parkinson's is, because I have taken more Parkinson's tests, more depression tests than most people have ever taken in 3 or 4 lifetimes. I've taken them, I take one every single time. I've also had, like I say, I've had more Parkinson's exams, more exams for rigidity. My medical records are much more complete. And I think that's a really big advantage when you have a disease that is progressive in nature. You can have people measuring it at a very, very fine level, because they're looking to see, let's assume that you're getting the non-placebo, you're not getting the sham, then they want to make sure that they can check and see that you've improved or haven't improved or whatever, because they need that fine granularity. So they tend to spend a little bit more time than is possible for somebody else to do it. The other thing is, I'm a geek. I'm a geek's geek, and I love playing with technology. And I mean, one of the things I really love about it is some of the people that have done some of the trials that I've been in, the Lightbox trial, for example, that is, to me, a brilliance idea, because it's an SADD Lightbox for, it's not a Lightbox that's designed for Parkinson's or anything like that. And he's adapted it. I went to another trial where there was a woman who had thought about the idea that the MRIs are used with an algorithm to help baseball players understand how to hit balls with a bat. And she said, why can't we do that with Parkinson's people? And so what she did was she asked me what I wanted to learn how to do again. I used to be a lifeguard and a heavy duty swimmer, and a lot of things in the water. And Parkinson's had gotten me to the point where my dog paddle was supposedly like the Australian crawl. And that's how Parkinson's is. Mm-hmm. And what I ended up doing was, after I went to her trial and kept working on swimming and swimming and swimming, I got into my pool and I swam, and you would back it up. Perfect Australian crawl. It wasn't just my Parkinson's lying to me this time.
No, it was so, trying to get the brain to think differently from what the Parkinson's makes you think. And it says, and it was
fantastic.
It was good. Very good.
And then, of course, there's the trial that is over now, and in fact, they're becoming a market soon, hopefully, for the liquid carbidopa levodopa delivery, and that, I mean, has been life changing. I can't wait for. Well, I mean, right now I'm getting the use of it as part of the agreement with the trial, but I can't wait for it to be out there, because it's going to be a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I sound like a commercial, but I mean, I've lived with this stuff now for over a year and a half.
Yeah, and you know what works and what doesn't.
And it works.
It works tremendously.
Oh, that's great. That's very good news.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's still only symptomatic, though. I mean.
Yeah. Hey.
It gets rid of the symptoms.
Right, but it doesn't
cure you.
It doesn't cure anything, and it doesn't slow the progression or anything. It just gets rid of the symptoms.
Yeah.
So now he's involved in so many other things, because he found a chorus group. Didn't realize that he could sing. He found a chorus group down in Westboro again, and he goes down every week, and a couple of other people go down with him, and then they sing together, and he's loving that. And he goes to you were doing art for a little while, improv for a little while, and they had the art cart where you get little crafts and things. It was all Parkinson's people.
Wow.
And they have you come down and a variety of things. What's the other one you do? Poetry.
Right, well,
oh, he's a tremendous poet. He's awfully good poet.
Yeah, he is.
And he didn't even realize. But some of his poetry, most of his poetry, is absolutely terrific.
Yeah. So, Joe, in terms of your creativity, was this something that you had explored in other times of your life, or did you just found, wow, I actually have this urge?
No, I was extremely left-brained.
Mm-hmm.
That was my focus. Being somebody who was whose job it is to break things and report how the breakages occur, you have to be very, very detail oriented and very, very focused on concrete things. And from the start of when I started going to Wayne's poetry group, I started to understand that there was another side to me, and that side was very much active and wanted to try and do things. So, I mean, I've been published in the UK. My paintings have been published on the internet. I can't believe that my painting got published on the internet, I'll be honest with you. And I've also self-published some of my poems. And I really look at it, and I find it to just be perhaps the little thing that I was paying no attention to is now really, really a vital part of my life. And it's great.
It's very rewarding too.
Yeah.
It's you feel good because you discovered something about yourself that is absolutely fantastic, and you start sharing it, and people appreciate it and they like it too. So it's like there must be something there, and it's good. It's awfully good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So virtual reality. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Well, I've been playing with virtual reality now for almost 6 years. Because like I am a techie geeky type of guy, I'm a first adopter. Once I figured out that something is interesting, I want to go after it. And virtual reality has a lot of really good things that can help people with Parkinson's. Definitely, it gives you a good ability to exercise in a non-available space. So, I mean, if you're living in an apartment,
let's start from the beginning. What is it? How do you do it? Like, let's say somebody someone's watching this and is like, what is virtual? What is he talking about?
Okay. So virtual reality is actually what you're doing is you're creating a reality using a computer or a phone or something like that. And you're blocking it's not like you're looking partway, you're blocking yourself off from reality. So you're in your own little world, or you're in a world with other people. You can actually socially interact in virtual reality.
Just
And
say how you do that.
you put a mask on of some sort of.
Yeah, you have what they call a helmet, and there are let's see, right now there are 3 platforms that you can do virtual reality on. One is the PlayStation 2 has just come out with its second revision of virtual reality. And it supposedly is quite good. I haven't had a chance to use it or anything like that. Then there are the virtual realities that are hooked up to computers. The catch with that is you need a pretty powerful computer to do virtual reality. It's not a trivial computer. And then if you're willing to deal with the fact that Oculus is owned by Facebook, there is a thing called the Oculus Quest, which is considerably cheaper than all the other virtual reality headsets. And that's because it's owned by Facebook, and Facebook sees it as a new platform for selling things and moving advertisements and all that kind of stuff. So what you do is you
put your helmet on.
You put your helmet on, and you turn
sticks in your hands.
and you have sticks in your hands to move around, and you turn, and you basically can. I mean, some of the things I've done is there are virtual reality games that are very good for hand-eye coordination. And those are really helpful to me because I do have problems with my right hand that are actually sometimes very severe, where I can't do things that I should be able to do. But that, again, is Parkinson's. So, I mean, but inside a virtual reality environment, my hand works fine. I just have to command it differently because it's not really my hand. But it has me doing the exercises that are causing me to use the brain power to think about those type of things. It's a lot of fun.
So there's a program in the helmet?
Sometimes it's a program in the helmet. Sometimes the program is transferred to the helmet. It depends on the platform that person chooses.
It's in the computer?
Yeah, or the PS station. Then the other thing is that there's a wide range of virtual reality software. There's virtual reality software that you can pretend you're mountain climbing. There's virtual reality software that you can pretend you're hang gliding and power hang gliding. And the thing about them, and there's also virtual reality software that you can pretend you're in a fantasy world. And those are actually good things too, because sometimes, well, many times with Parkinson's, things is very, very difficult. And it's very nice to literally escape into a world where your Parkinson's does not exist and never will exist. And that feels really, really good. And it's a really, really good escape if people have, drawn the software up the way you want it.
So I'm not somebody who's super familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, but not a lot. You say you feel like you don't have Parkinson's, you're acting like you don't have Parkinson's. You're seeing your hand move fluidly or your body move fluidly, or what is it? Is it just because you're actually focused on something so you forget?
The answer to that question is yes.
Okay.
I mean, really, all of the above is true. I mean, you don't have any infirmities in a virtual reality world. There is actually a program, a virtual reality experience, if you will, that allows you to experience what it's like being in a wheelchair. Which is not designed for people who are in wheelchairs. It's designed for people who don't understand what it's like to be in a wheelchair, and it's very well done. I've actually used it, and I've been reading over the time. I've read some of the comments about how people felt about it, and a lot of people said, "Boy, this is hard." And the answer was, "Yeah, it is, because this is a very good simulation of what it's like to be in a wheelchair." And so, which is good. I think it's good for people that don't have the diseases to understand sometimes what people who do have the diseases have to put up with. But I mean, that's definitely a part of it. It also does allow you to focus your mind on what you're doing. There are a number of virtual reality meditation programs that are really, really quite good, that allow you, again, to just focus your mind on what's going on. Of course, virtual reality comes with audio, and the audio is directional, but it's directional in a different way than we think of stereo. or something like that. It's directional in the sense that if you turn your head this way, this ear or this ear is actually picking up the sound a little bit differently than it would normally do so. So it's really quite an incredible tool. There are plans. There was a call that we ambassadors had with somebody from, I think it was Europe, who was looking at building a virtual reality gym, which would have us running in place, except we would feel like we were running, jumping things and all this kind of stuff. And I'm, very excited. I'd love to see something like that. Or perhaps even we might have a virtual reality exercise bicycle,
Mm-hmm.
so that you could experience biking without the dangers, shall we say,
Mhm.
but there's definitely a lot there for us. And unlike, any sort of other escape that people might take, via drugs or something like that, this is, completely non-harmless because you just shut it down and you're back in the real world. There's no
Mhm.
after effects. There's no before effects either, for that matter.
Right. That's very interesting. Well, hopefully we're going to get some more content on about it and teach people about how they can get involved and try it
Mhm.
out. Um,
We should talk a little bit about who we are. I'm Barbara and Joe O'Connor. We've been married for 31 or 2,
Almost two.
32 years. And with an illness like this, you have to support each other. You really do. And I take care of him with his procedure every morning, but also I'm involved when he gets into different things. At first, I used to go to the support group, and then he really had it going, and I've stopped going. But he, anything that he wants me to do, I went to the convention, and but they need support, and very, very, very important.
yeah.
And
So
I'm
Barbara,
here.
what happened when he came home and said to you, I have Parkinson's?
Um,
It's actually true that I actually, because it was 2 days before Christmas, tried to hide it from her because I just felt this is going to be a lousy Christmas as a result of it. But what had happened was she was making plans to, on the days where I was going to have to go back in for the MRI to see if I had a brain tumor, to go and play cards with her friends. And I said, okay, I can't keep this in any longer. And I told her, I said, I've got a diagnosis of having Parkinson's. And it was a very unusual, it wasn't bad Christmas. It was a very unusual Christmas. I can remember you being in church. Barbara and I are ministers in our parish. And I can remember her being in church and breaking down and crying. And one of the other ministers saying, what's the matter? What's the matter? And I said, I think I know. And they said, what's wrong with her? I said, nothing wrong with her. It's me. And we just discovered that I have Parkinson's. And actually, that's one of the great things that I've been able to do is I've gone to a number of church groups in different churches and stuff like that. And I said, hey, um, you know, if you really appreciate the situation with people with Parkinson's, it'd be really nice if you guys could scare up some money and give it to us. So I've gone to a couple of organizations and gotten, not a whole lot of money, a couple thousand here and, 1,000 there and so on and so forth for the foundation. Cause I really believe it's one of the things I like about the foundation is not so much after a cure, but after us living the best we can. And that to me is something that people sometimes forget. It's like, okay, well, we've got to have the cure. We got to have the cure. And God knows we all would love to see a cure. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, it's just nice to have a focus that says, okay, this is how you can live the best life you can. And I think that's really, that's a tribute really to Davis at the beginning of it all. And it's also a tribute to the organization that we've continued that direction.
Yeah. So Barbara, what were those first years like, and first days and weeks and months?
What it was we had no clue as to what it all meant. I visualized him being in a wheelchair and my pushing him around and him being bedridden. I didn't know what Parkinson's was. And like he says, there was a lot of crying. because you never know. You never know how bad it is, and then you hear things. People don't die from Parkinson's. It just affects their lives a lot. But so that was a little bit of a plus, I guess. But it certainly explained a lot of things. I mean, he had a 7-hour marathon one time, a 7-hour, and he would not come in because he wanted to finish. And we all stood around and waited for him to come in. But that was kind of sad for me. I'm going, he used to do them in 4 hours, and now he's about 3 hours more. And I've been very supportive. I want to be supportive, and I know I want to be. But no, I don't mean to defend myself. I don't sound like that, but it was tough. It was tough at first, and we look at each other and we go, "We'll get through this. We'll figure out how to get through it. We'll just do what we need to do." And every time something else happens, he has well. I don't know if you know about the pump, but he's got a pump, and one day the pump broke. And so the two of us are sitting here going, what do we do now? And I'm going, holy cow, what's going to happen to him now? So, I mean, I'm with him every step of the way to try to figure out. We learn every day a little more and a little more and a little more. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, we best do this. Oh, we have to have a rule around. We do every morning at 8:30. That's it. That's what we do. Then we have the rest of the day for ourselves. And, all kinds of things that you put together. But it's a lot, but it's also it's our lives, and it's fine. We may be a little different because we have no children, so we have no grandchildren, but so we concentrate on each other.
Right. Well, we also have nieces and nephews, and
Yeah,
actually
cousins.
we're going to be going out to see our great nephews, and we actually have a great niece.
Wow.
And so we're watching all of that.
So we watch all of
But
that.
it's something to go through together, but it's tough. It's tough for Joe, but it's tough for me to watch. And it's he's incredibly resilient. He's unbelievably resilient, and everybody says
I'm
that.
going to blush mode again.
Yeah, no, you are, and he's upbeat. I'm the one who's got the anger at times. I'm the one who's very sad at times. And I go to him, and he's all upbeat, and he's okay, and everything. We'll get through this. We'll get through this. And I'm going, how are we going to get through? But it's human nature,
Yeah.
But he's incredibly upbeat. What is it you say? You want to be the most healthy person?
I want to be the healthiest person in the world with a
Life-threatening disease.
No, it's not life-threatening disease. No, with a progressive, chronic, incurable disease.
The healthiest person around.
Yeah.
And then because he believes it, he's upbeat.
Upbeat. Well, so what does your day look like, Joe? What does a normal day look like?
A normal day for us.
Every morning I do the procedure.
Let me
Okay.
tell a little bit about the procedure.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Barbara loves to sleep in, and I don't. So I get up and I kind of rustle around the house and stuff like that. Usually around 8:30, 9 o'clock, we do the procedure. We have to change all the stuff out every day.
It's a pump, and it has all the equipment with it. It's got transfer lines and cannulas and the stuff, the vials that have the stuff in it.
The secret sauce, yeah. So anyway, so after we get finished with that, then what I'll typically do is, if it's like a hot sunny day, I'll take my pump back off and go swimming. If it's a cold day, I'll probably go for a walk. I want to get back to my running. One of my goals I set for myself this year is to have a 5K that doesn't show me having people wait for me. And that unfortunately, one of the problems of Parkinson sometimes is dizziness. And I was running a 5K actually for the Fox Foundation, and it was really nice. I was very lucky to have an emergency medical technician, an EMT, running with me, because I make a long story short, I just collapsed from dizziness and fell on the pavement. And
she was right there.
She was right there to help out, and that was.
She says, "I'll put you in the ambulance." Oh, no! I'm going to finish.
Right.
So I'll run with you. So she's running with him.
She told him. She said, "I'll be with him step by step," and she was. God bless her. but anyway, so I try to get some activity in, because of my, my standing with a lot of people around here in terms of Parkinson's. I get a lot of emails, and I respond to every single one of them. And that takes a chunk of my day.
He's got a thing on his leg that's another trial, and what it does is it tests how he's walking. It's to improve his walking, because his walking is not that great. He marches when he walks. He doesn't mean to march because his brain's telling him to march, but he doesn't want to march. And it has earphones and it looks like a phone and a thing on his leg, and it makes the music. And he says, when I'm out doing that, I'm walking much better, much better. And so he wants to buy one. When the trial's over, he wants to buy one of those and see if it doesn't work and keep working, because that's part of it. But do you go for a walk every day?
Yeah, I go for a walk most every day.
We volunteer a lot. We volunteer at the school over here, the library, children's library.
I volunteer at the Recycle Center, and I also teach religious education to children.
Yeah, we're involved at the church.
I mean, I think, what a normal day. That's kind of like a normal day for us. Is the different volunteering stuff that I do. I like to sit down and do a little creative stuff. Sometimes I pick up my guitar.
And you write some poetry.
Sometimes I write some poetry.
We're retired, so, it's not like we worked until I was 66 and you left.
I was
when you
57.
were 57.
Yeah. Barbara, did you retire soon after Joe did, or were you?
She retired before me.
Before he did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, yeah. I had planned to go till I was 70. And my things happened, and it got to be I was 66, and I said, "Nah, it's time to retire." And because you were told by your doctor, just enjoy life, just have some time for yourselves, and it's made all the difference. You've been retired for what? How many years now?
I've been retired now for what, 6?
Really?
5 years. 5 years. Yeah.
And so it's been fantastic, and we plan a lot of trips. With COVID, it got tough. But
even then, we did travel though,
because we made up for it.
We went to Stowe, Vermont, and had a nice trip.
That's
true. Nice trip.
Wherever they'd let us go,
Yeah, right.
They wouldn't let us go.
So where do you get all the resilience and positivity from, Joe?
Oh, I get it from him. Oh, yeah.
No,
because
I think
it's hard to believe.
I'm very, very proud of being an ambassador. And I think a big part of what I have to do is be there for other people. And I can't explain it. You have to be a support group leader to understand it, but I draw a tremendous amount of good feeling and everything from the people in the support group. I actually have used the L word. I love all those people. I mean, they're like my second family, because we've shared so much together, and we come through so much together, and it's been a terrific. I wouldn't have asked for the experience, but it's been a terrific experience, going that way. And I also look at it. I had a person I worked for years ago, and I was a vice president, and he was the president, and so on and so forth. And a very large company, AT&T, was going to sue us and wipe us out. And I would get angry and all upset and everything. And he would just, smile and keep moving and stuff like that. And I asked him one time, I said, what's the story? And he said, there's 2 ways to go through life. One is with a frown on your face, and the other is with a smile. And I choose a smile. And I looked at him and I said, that's the right attitude. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have gotten an awful lot of wonderful Christmas gifts. Joe wrote some fantastic poetry for the last Christmas gifts. He did paintings, and we had been married in York, Maine, where Nubble Light is. It's a beautiful lighthouse on the rocks and stuff like that. And we had our pictures taken there. And so he did that picture, and he handed me and still you did the Nubble Light thing, and just fantastic stuff like that. So it's been really great. That part of it is fantastic.
Yeah. Is there anything that I didn't ask about that I should have?
I think you covered it, pretty well. If anybody isn't having trouble out there and they watch this thing and they're having trouble either understanding clinical trials or support groups or running a support group or any of that kind of stuff, they can certainly reach me through the foundation. A few times people have reached out through the foundation, and that's great. I'm glad to talk with anybody about it. I'm also very willing to just listen to somebody. I've had a few people call me up and they were just diagnosed and they needed a shoulder. And I'm very, very, very comfortable with being that shoulder. We've had a few people since you've been gone, honey, that have kind of gotten a little bit into
Where'd I go?
When you stop going to group meetings.
Oh.
That have been at the group meetings that have just, gotten more into like they needed to vent.
After the group, they'll stay and talk to you.
And they need to
he
vent.
just listens.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
So,
I
I
appreciate
that.
everything you both do for the foundation. We're so grateful that you're in this world with us.
And I'm really grateful to be part of the foundation. Yeah.
Great. I put your contact page up on here so people can check it out. We'll definitely share it later with the description. So thank you both so much for being here. Joe, we're going to hear more about VR. We're going to share more of your poetry. And Barbara, hope we get to see you at the next leadership conference.
I plan to be there.
Okay. Take care, Mel.
Thank you.
Bye. Nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.